Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharefa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer.
In response to the Ukrainian UAV terrorist attack on Starobelsk in the Lugansk People's Republic, Russian forces conduct a massive long-range precision strike overnight, employing air, ground, and sea-based hypersonic missiles and strike drones. The strike hits defense industry enterprises, fuel and transport infrastructure, military airfields, and territorial recruitment centers across Kiev, Zaporozhye, Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkov, Sumy, Khmelnitsky, and Poltava regions. On the ground, 6 axes report activity: north, west, south, center, east, and DNEPR. No settlements captured, but Center Group takes more advantageous lines, and East Group advances into enemy depth. Total claimed Ukrainian losses reach 1,240 troops, 11 armored fighting vehicles, 2 HMMWVs, 76 motor vehicles, 9 artillery guns, 1 Caesar self-propelled howitzer, and 8 electronic warfare stations. Aviation and artillery strike 133 areas, including long-range UAV launch sites.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Before we dive into the ground sectors, I want to ask about the timing. The report says last night, so the strike occurred after the previous day's briefing. How does this affect the operational calendar and the tempo we have been tracking?
It introduces a new rhythm. Previously, we saw daily ground reports with occasional aviation strikes. Now we have a discrete, high-intensity strategic strike phase that is separate from the ongoing tactical engagements. The tempo has accelerated from methodical to acute. The Russians have demonstrated the ability to launch a massive coordinated strike across the entire depth of Ukraine, from Sumy in the north to Khmelnitsky in the west, from Kharkov to Poltava, within a single night. That requires intelligence preparation, missile positioning, and real-time targeting. It also requires a willingness to expend significant high-end munitions. The fact that they did so in response to a single terrorist attack indicates that the Kremlin has lowered the threshold for strategic retaliation. Going forward, any Ukrainian strike on Russian civilian infrastructure, schools, hospitals, residential areas, could trigger a similarly massive response. That changes the risk calculus for Ukraine.
Let's move to the ground sectors. Start with the North Group. They engaged targets in Sumy and Kharkov again. What was different on June 2nd?
The North Group continued its mission of fixing Ukrainian border forces, but with a slightly different mix of Ukrainian units engaged. They hit 1 mechanized brigade, 1 airmobile brigade, 1 marine brigade, and 1 territorial defense brigade near Pisarevka, Pushkarevka, Khotin, Spasskoye, Velikaya Rybitsa, and Ivolzhanskoye in Sumy region. In Kharkov region, they struck 1 mechanized brigade, 1 motorized infantry brigade, 1 territorial defense brigade, and 1 National Guard brigade near Lipsy, Okrimovka, Shevchenko, Kazakya Lopan, and Bely Kolodez. The enemy lost up to 195 troops, 1 tank, 22 motor vehicles, 1 field artillery gun, and 1 electronic warfare station. The tank loss is notable. It is the first tank destroyed reported in the North Sector in several days. That suggests Ukrainian armored reserves are being committed to the border area, possibly to counter Russian infiltration. The single EW station lost is relatively low compared to other sectors.
The West Group reported 2 HMMWV armored vehicles destroyed. That is a very specific Western system. What does that tell us?
The HMMWV, the High Mobility Multipurpose Wheeled Vehicle, or Humvee, is a light armored vehicle used for transport, reconnaissance, and medical evacuation. The United States has supplied hundreds of them to Ukraine. destroying 2 in the west sector near Podlaman, Mayakov, Pershib, Piskanovka, and Krasny Lyman, indicates that Ukrainian forces are using these vehicles to move troops and supplies along the front line in the Kharkov-Donetsk border area. The West Group also eliminated 4 artillery guns and over 185 troops, plus 8 motor vehicles. The 4 artillery guns in one sector is a significant loss for Ukraine. Counter-battery fire in the West is clearly effective. The West Group is not just improving the situation along the front line. They are actively stripping away Ukrainian fire support.
The South Group improved the tactical situation again, but there was no settlement capture today, unlike yesterday's liberation of Tikhonovka. Is that a pause or a consolidation?
It is consolidation. The South Group hit 3 mechanized brigades, 1 motorized infantry brigade, 1 mountain assault brigade, 1 marine brigade, and a territorial defense brigade near Nikolaipoli, Zhuzhkovka, Artema, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Nikolaevka, Ray-Alexandrovka, Roskoshnoi, and Konstantinovka. That is a very broad area. The enemy lost up to 165 troops, 3 armored fighting vehicles, 25 motor vehicles, 3 field artillery guns, and 1 electronic warfare station. The 25 motor vehicles destroyed is a high number. It suggests the South Group is targeting supply columns and troop transports moving between Slavyansk and Konstantinovka. Without a settlement capture, the focus is on attrition. But remember, yesterday they liberated Tikhonovka. Today, they are consolidating that gain by striking the rear areas and preventing Ukrainian counterattacks. This is a classic operational pattern. Seize a position, then use fires to break up enemy reserves before the next advance.
The Center Group took more advantageous lines and positions, and they destroyed a French-made Caesar self-propelled howitzer. That is a major Western system. Can you elaborate?
The Caesar is a 155mm self-propelled howitzer on a truck chassis, made by Nexter of France. It is highly mobile, accurate, and has been one of Ukraine's most effective artillery systems. Destroying one is a significant tactical victory for the Center Group. The overall center sector losses included more than 325 troops, 4 armored fighting vehicles, 5 motor vehicles, the Caesar, and 2 electronic warfare stations. The units engaged were 3 mechanized brigades, 1 assault brigade, 1 airmobile brigade, 2 marine brigades, 3 National Guard brigades, and 1 assault regiment. A very dense concentration of Ukrainian forces. The locations: Ivanovka, Gulevo, Sergeyevka, Krasnoyarskoye, Shevchenko, Belitskoye, Gruskoye, Novopavlovka, Kucherov Yar, cover a wide arc from the Donetsk-Dnipropetrovsk border down towards Toretsk. Taking more advantageous lines here likely means Russian units have seized key high ground or tree lines that overlook Ukrainian defensive belts.
The East Group again reported advancing into the depth of enemy defense. They also inflicted over 330 losses. Where exactly did they operate?
The East Group struck near Dolinka, Zuravlenka, Gavrilovka, Lubitskoye, Novoselovka, Krinovka, and Romanki. These are all in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporozhye regions. The enemy lost more than 330 troops, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 10 motor vehicles, and 1 artillery gun. The units engaged included 1 mechanized brigade, 1 assault brigade, 2 air assault brigades, 1 marine brigade, and 1 assault regiment. The high loss figure, 330, combined with the description, advancing into the depth, suggests that the East Group is conducting offensive operations that are forcing Ukrainian units to withdraw or counterattack. The relatively low number of vehicles destroyed, 10 motor vehicles, 1 AFV, compared to the high troop loss, indicates that the casualties are coming from artillery and mortar fire on entrenched positions, not from mobile engagements. This is a deliberate, grinding advance. The East Group remains the main effort, as it has been for several days.
The DNEPR Group had the most striking EW figure: 4 electronic warfare stations neutralized. That is the highest single-sector tally we have seen. What does that mean for the river line?
4 EW stations in the DNEPR sector, along with over 40 troops, 2 armored fighting vehicles, and 21 motor vehicles destroyed. The DNEPR sector covers the lower Dnieper, including the area around Zaporozhye city, the nuclear power plant, and the approaches to Kherson. Ukrainian forces have concentrated EW assets there to protect against Russian drone-guided artillery and to jam any reconnaissance of possible crossing points. By destroying 4 stations in one day, the DNEPR Group has opened a significant hole in Ukraine's electronic shield. Russian UAVs will now be able to operate more freely over the river line, identifying artillery positions, supply depots, and reserve concentrations. The 21 motor vehicles destroyed suggests that the Russians are also targeting logistics, a classic precursor to offensive action. While the DNEPR Group is not advancing, they are setting conditions for future operations, possibly including crossing attempts.
Now to the domain that often gets less attention: operational tactical aviation. The report states that aviation, UAVs, missile troops, and artillery struck 133 areas, focusing on preparation and launch sites of long-range attack UAVs, as well as temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian formations and foreign mercenaries. How does this fit with the overnight massive strike?
This is a critical point. The overnight massive strike was a strategic, high-level response. But the daily operational tactical aviation strikes, 133 areas, are the routine, ongoing campaign to shape the battlefield. The key phrase is preparation and launch sites of long-range attack unmanned aerial vehicles. This is a direct counter to Ukraine's own deep strike campaign, which has targeted Russian refineries and ammunition depots. By hitting the sites where those long-range drones are prepared and launched, the Russians are striking the source, not just intercepting the drones in flight. The 133 areas also include temporary deployment areas for foreign mercenaries. These are likely Polish, Georgian, American, or other contractors. Killing them disrupts the advisory and training pipeline. So the operational tactical aviation is performing 2 roles: close support for ground forces and a counter-deep campaign against Ukrainian UAV infrastructure.
And the air defense results: 10 guided aerial bombs, 3 HIMARS rockets, and 381 fixed-wing UAVs shot down. What do those numbers tell us?
The 10 guided bombs, likely JDAM-ER or AASM, show that Ukrainian tactical aviation is still attempting strikes, but with a 100% intercept rate, which is remarkable. The 3 HIMARS rockets shot down are also significant. HIMARS has been Ukraine's most effective deep precision weapon, and intercepting them means Russian air defense is now able to track and kill GMLRS rounds in flight. The 381 UAVs is a large number, but lower than some previous days. It indicates that Ukraine is still launching large numbers of drones, but Russian electronic warfare and kinetic defenses are shooting them down at a high rate. The cumulative total of destroyed UAVs has now reached 154,703, an average of over 140 per day since the start of the war. But recent days have seen figures in the hundreds. The drone war is intensifying, but the interception rates are climbing. Ukraine is losing drones faster than it can replace them.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that the destruction of 4 EW stations in the DNEPR sector creates a window of vulnerability along the lower Dnieper. Russian reconnaissance drones will now be able to identify targets deep behind Ukrainian lines. Commanders should exploit this with precision artillery strikes within the next 48 hours.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive frontline updates from commanders in theater.